this one single epic, the Mahabharata, is studied thoroughly. You don't need any more self-help books in the world.
Really?
That's how fascinating and that's how powerful it is. Doesn't matter what culture you belong to, doesn't matter what race you belong to, the principles will always remain the same. There's a lot of the Mahabharata the world doesn't know. There are so many stories within the Mahabharata that are so carefully hidden within the epic. Here is Krishna, who's training the Pandavas not just to not crumble, but to stand so powerfully strong. Whatever space you have, if you use it in the best possible way, Krishna will give you more.
You also talk about the dark side to success. Now, why do you mention that in this chapter?
Success goes to the head and it makes you very proud. And when you become very proud, that's when you make mistakes. The episode of Draupadi's Vastraharan is considered to be one of the most central episodes of the Mahabharata, the Asat Sabha. And Draupadi represents the feminine energy. The Mahabharata says, when you make someone cry tears, the tears of that person become the puddle in which a strong person drowns and dies.
In the Mahabharata, warriors worship goddess Durga before battle. What does this tell us about Krishna's own reverence for feminine power?
The most powerful epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, are centered on women. In the Ramayana, one woman was disrespected and an entire country got destroyed.
Yeah.
In the Mahabharata, one woman was disrespected and an entire dynasty got destroyed. A lot of times, we take shelter of prayers as a spare wheel of our life. But actually, these prayers are the steering wheel of our life.
The Mahabharata dates back to more than 5,000 years ago, but even today it continues to offer practical life advice and every character teaches us vital lessons. But undeniably, the heartbeat of this epic is Krishna Bhagwan, the ultimate problem solver. Our guest on this episode has just authored a book titled Undefeatable Krishna, the first in a series called Icons of Mahabharata. Very pleased to welcome on Buzz by the Bay, lifestyle coach, prolific author and engineer turned spiritual seeker, Dr. Shubha Vilas, to discuss life-changing teachings from the Mahabharata. And because we're in the season of Navratri, we will explore the divine feminine power through this great epic. Welcome on Buzz by the Bay, Dr. Shubha Vilas. Prabhu ji, I will call you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very grateful and honored to be here on this platform and happy to share my thoughts on Krishna and on the very divine time of Navratri.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this discussion. You're a very prolific author. You've written more than 60 books.
Yes.
And this is a new series, Icons of Mahabharata.
Correct.
And of course, Krishna being the pulse of the Mahabharata, you started with this book.
I thought Krishna is the center of the Mahabharata. Without Krishna, Mahabharata would be so incomplete. If I'm going to start a series of books on Mahabharata, I thought might as well start with Krishna.
Of course, absolutely. You are an engineer and then you did a PhD in leadership lessons from Valmiki Ramayana. Is that so?
Yes.
That was your PhD topic?
Correct, yeah. Leadership and managerial effectiveness from Valmiki Ramayana. That was the topic, yeah.
How interesting. Can you just tell us briefly about that? Like when you know.
I have been doing extensive research in the Ramayana for years now, for more than a decade, I would say. And I've been studying the Ramayana so deeply, both Valmiki, Tulsidas, as well as Kamba Ramayana and many others. And I found that Ramayana is primarily a leadership sutra. It's a leadership book. And hardly anybody has done extensive research and especially a thesis on this book. And I thought I should explore the concept of Ramarajya and understand what Ramarajya is actually through the Ramayana itself. And that was the whole thought process behind the thesis.
So you studied, you went into what Ram Rajya is and as an example of governance and leadership. Is
Correct.
that essentially what it was?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I look forward to at some point having a conversation on that, but
Yes, I would love
today
to.
we'll focus on your latest book
Yes.
and your latest series. It's fascinating. I've started reading it. You've chosen about 9 stories from the Mahabharat to impart certain lessons. If you can tell us, why do you think the Mahabharat is still relevant today and it's over 5,000 years old?
Yes, the Mahabharata is over 5,000 years old, and the reason it is so relevant today is because it is based on principles which never change, which are universal in nature. It doesn't matter which religion you are, it doesn't matter which nationality you are, it doesn't matter what culture you belong to, it doesn't matter what race you belong to, the principles will always remain the same.
Yeah.
And because the storyline of the Mahabharata is written in such a way that the storyline touches on the reality of the characters, the emotions that they go through, the pain and the troubles they go through, and the difficulties that they go through. Apparently it is Arjun, but it's actually us in that story.
It's a long and complex epic, right? I mean, there are many sort of, as you say, subplots and diversions beyond just the central theme of the, Pandavas and the Kauravas. There are so many other stories and so much else that is happening in the Mahabharata. And to actually take a deep dive into this, I mean, it must take a lot of work. I mean, how long have you been researching and reading the Mahabharata?
The Mahabharata is an ocean.
It is.
It has 100,000 verses. And of these 100,000 verses, the essential main storyline is in a very short number of verses,
Okay.
which is what the world knows. But there is a lot of the Mahabharata the world doesn't know. There are so many stories within the Mahabharata that are so carefully hidden within the epic. I am trying to bring out things that are unknown and are unexplored. I personally feel that if this one single epic, the Mahabharata, is studied thoroughly, you don't need any more self-help books in the world.
Really?
That's how fascinating and that's how powerful it is.
Okay.
Vyasdev declares that actually right in the beginning of the Mahabharata. He says, whatever you need to know in this world is there in this book.
Wow.
And what is not in this book, you don't need to know at all.
Whatever's not in this book, you don't need to know. It's not relevant. How interesting. You have said in the beginning, in your introduction, that it's a mirror of life that reflects the deepest truths of human nature, destiny and dharma. Dharma being at the very center of it.
Yeah.
So how would you really define dharma?
Dharma is like a flowing river. Just like the flowing river flows through obstacles, Dharma finds its way towards the ocean. And the ocean is at the lotus feet of the Lord. And the river of Dharma, there are so many people that try to change its path.
Yeah.
Just like, even today we find modern rivers, people are trying to change its path and change its direction,
Yeah.
but somehow or the other, the river floods back and, finds its way back to the ocean. Of course, from a practical point of view, if you want to look at what Dharma is, Dharma for us is duties that we need to do. Occupational duties, duties that are our innate nature. We can call them as psychophysical nature. Every one of us are made for something. And that's who we are. That's who we naturally are. Somebody who is into business, they are into business right from their childhood. Their mold is business. There are some children who love books. They call bookworms, unfortunately. But they are book lovers, actually. They have, nobody taught them to love a book. They just happily love it. So that's their psychophysical nature. Each one of us are made for something.
Yes.
And that's our dharma.
Okay.
And that's what the Gita calls as Swadharma.
Swadharma.
It's your dharma,
Yeah.
which means it is the way you are. Just like salt. The
Yes.
dharma of salt is to be salty. You
Yes.
can never get salt that is not salty.
Absolutely.
The dharma of sugar is to be sweet.
Yeah.
You cannot change the dharma of sugar, right? And that's the way every human being is created in a particular way.
That's very nicely explained. Getting back to your book, you portray Krishna as the ultimate problem solver. You highlight Krishna's other roles as well. If you could just maybe mention them.
Krishna is called Rasaraj. That means he's a king of rasas. Rasa means mellows or relationships or different types of roles that one plays. Each one of us are very expert in some roles, but we may not be expert in some other roles. But somebody who is an expert in all roles is called Rasaraj. And that's what Krishna is, not just the Mahabharata, even in the Bhagavatam. And Krishna plays the role of a strategist, he plays the role of a trainer, he plays the role of a consultant, he plays the role of a friend, he plays the role of a lover, he plays the role of a wise counsel, to Duryodhana, to Dhritarashtra and so many others. He plays the role of a very humble son, a very humble, grandson. He plays the role of a very, very diligent father. He plays the role of a very strong brother. He plays so many roles, and each one of these roles, he is different. He not only thinks differently, he acts differently, but he also connects differently. And that's what makes Krishna so variegated, and it makes him so fascinating, practically enigmatic.
Yeah, very enigmatic, and we see even during the war, the advice that he gives Arjun. Sometimes some of the advice he gives Arjun during the war is quite unexpected. But like you said, he plays all these roles, and that's essentially what you want to bring out in your book. And so you pick 9 stories, and as you said, that there's so many stories, lesser known stories in the Mahabharata. Let's start with your first story. I found that really fascinating. That is Kandava Dahan, the war between Arjun and Indra. And it's essentially, about him, how Arjun obtained the Gandiva bow. Why did you choose that story?
I personally feel that is one of the most adventurous stories. And in fact, that story is the training ground based on which the Mahabharata happens.
Okay.
Actually, that story is a story of a test of Arjun's readiness for the Mahabharata war.
Okay.
The Mahabharata war is bound to happen. It was bound to happen. It was destined to happen at some point. And all the gods really wanted to figure out whether Arjun is ready for it or not.
Oh, okay.
And even Krishna, the way Krishna trains the Pandavas is that he observed them first. In fact, he observed them much earlier, even much before meeting them. So when Krishna came from Vrindavan to Mathura and he killed Kamsa, at that point Krishna wrote a letter to Dhritarashtra. This was when Krishna was in his teenage, literally. He was, 12, 13 years of age at that time. And he wrote a letter to Dhritarashtra that I am Krishna, I'm in Mathura, and I've just killed Kamsa. And he said that please take care of the Pandavas well. And Krishna has been observing the Pandavas from that point onwards. A good leader is someone who first observes those who have potential to lead. After he observed the Pandavas and he saw how luck favored them, he saw how they could handle calamities, he saw how they stood the tests of dharma and stood strong on the side of dharma. He saw how they were always united together no matter what happens. So he saw so many good qualities in the Pandavas, and that's when he decided it's worth focusing on them. Then Krishna started spending time with them. And when Krishna spent time with them, he spent time with them in real-time situations. And one of those real-time situations was this particular situation of Kandava where the kingdom was divided into 2 parts unfairly.
Yes.
Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana made sure the Pandavas got Kandava, which is considered to be the most barren and the most useless piece of land in that whole kingdom. And Duryodhana kept the other side, Hastinapur and all the prosperous parts.
Yes.
And when the Pandavas were given that bad part, they obviously were very unhappy. Especially Bhima was really upset and angry, and he wanted to retaliate. And Arjun was really disturbed. At that point, Krishna enters into their life and tells them, don't worry, let's make the best of what we have. And he stands by them to support them to make Khandava into Indraprastha.
Indraprastha, yes.
So this is a real-time test of And it's one of those examples of rags to riches. And most people crumble when they are treated unfairly. And here is Krishna who's training the Pandavas not just to not crumble, but to stand so powerfully strong and create such a transformation that it became a historical story for all time to come. And that's what Kandava Prastha is.
Because you say, you know, at the beginning of the chapter that whatever happened for the good, what is happening for the good, whatever will happen for the good. And so you said they got this, they kind of were shortchanged in a sense, the Pandavas. Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan gave them this barren, useless piece of land, which they then transformed from Kandava Prastha to Indraprastha. And you've explained it very well that you can either crumble or you can make the most of what you have. In between your storytelling, you also talk about lessons that people can gain from these various anecdotes. And I really like that, because first you talk about how treating symptoms rather than the underlying cause exacerbates the problem. So if you could just explain some of these lessons,
The reason I write stories is because, especially the epics like the Mahabharata, Ramayana, I find that these are layered stories. So which means that within a story, there are multiple layers within it. The topmost layer is of course the storyline itself. But within those topmost layers, if you go lower and lower and lower, there are deeper and deeper and deeper layers, which are lessons that we can learn from that story. Like for example, one of the things that is spoken during the story, in the storyline, is how Arjun is given some weapons, he is given some powers, he is given some facilities, but the understanding is how is he going to use it? A lot of people have powers, a lot of people have facilities, a lot of people have gadgets, a lot of people have knowledge. But the question is, how will you put that to use? That's what determines whether you really deserve that or not, right?
Yeah.
So during the Kandava Prastha, there are so many episodes that happened that actually challenge Arjun's understanding of use of power. Like for example, there was one family of birds, which was very fascinating, that got stuck in that fire. And these birds were trying to fly out, and somehow or the other, they were getting trapped in the fire. And of course, by the mercy of Agni, they came out unharmed.
Yeah.
But the fact also is that Arjun did not harm them also.
Yes.
Right? Because every animal and every of those entities that was coming out of the fire, a lot of them were demons.
Yeah.
They were demonic entities. They were negative entities. And that is one of the reasons the Kandava Dahan happened, to destroy all those negative forces.
The Nagas.
The Nagas, and so many demons were also there
Yes.
inside, And Arjuna was diligently killing all of them. But sensitively and discriminatingly, he knew whom not to kill.
Yes.
And that is a test of a leader. A Kshatriya, a warrior, is supposed to use that power to serve people, to protect the weak, and to destroy those who are misusing that power, misusing their abilities, misusing their strengths for harming the innocent. And that's one of the lessons that we can learn. It's a very subtle thing, but it's a very important thing.
Yeah.
And another one could be a very beautiful lesson, in fact, is how when you have resources with you, every resource that is given to you is given for a purpose. If you use it, you get more. Just like for example, we have a beautiful temple in Icons of Mahabharata here in Mumbai. When we began the temple, it was a very tiny, small little place. And the devotees were constantly complaining to our leader, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that we're falling short of place. We're always falling short of place.
Yeah.
So many people with less space. Even today, that's the same problem. And Maharaj gave a very beautiful analogy, which I think is very relevant to this story. He said, whatever space you have, if you use it in the best possible way, Krishna will give you more. So which means whatever resources we have, whatever powers we have, if you use it in the best possible way, you will attract more. But if what you have, you don't use it well, you don't use it for the right cause, you don't use it in the right way, you don't use it sensitively, what you have, you lose.
Absolutely. And it's also gratitude. The whole idea of gratitude ties into it, right? If you don't have gratitude for what you have, even whatever you have may be taken away from you, but if you have gratitude for even every little thing you have, more will be given to you. You talk about many of these subtle lessons, which I really like. I really enjoyed reading it. Like, for example, you talk about how it takes courage to ask for help, because Agni Dev was, emaciated and sickly, and he came and asked Krishna and Arjun in Kandava Prastha. He came and asked them for help to fight against Indra, because Agni Dev was told by Brahma that you need to swallow this whole Kandava forest if you want to restore your health.
Powerful people don't like to ask, because they usually take whatever they want. But when powerful people ask in a very humble way, it's a very attractive thing.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful thing.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a very nice lesson. We need to, even if you're powerful, you need to be humble sometimes. You also talk about the dark side to success. Now, why do you mention that in this chapter?
Usually what happens when you get success is that success goes to the head and it makes you very proud. And when you become very proud, that's when you make mistakes. So usually when you are very close to success, a lot of people make the biggest mistakes of their lives when they are very close to success. Just 1 inch away from success, and then they lose foresight, and they make the biggest blunders of their life. If you don't learn to digest success properly, it's not, if undigested food is not good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It comes out in strange ways, and that's what undigested success leads to. I loved one last thing in this chapter, which I really want to share. At the end of the whole Kandava Dahan, when the forest gets consumed by Agni, and then Agni and Indra are bestowing boons on Arjuna and Krishna, they ask Krishna to choose any boon. Now obviously Krishna, he doesn't need any boon.
Yeah.
But still, because he's playing a human role, he is very humble enough to accept that boon. And Arjuna obviously asks for weapons, and he asks for missiles, and he asks for so many things. And when it comes to Krishna's turn to ask for a boon, he simply says this most amazing thing. He says, give me the boon that my friendship with Arjuna will never decrease.
Yes, beautiful.
And the moment Krishna says that, Arjuna has tears in his eyes, and he thinks, what have I done? And look at what Krishna is asking, and look at what I am asking, Krishna chooses relationships every time. And from that point onwards, that became a turning point in Arjuna's life. After that, whenever he has to choose, he always chooses Krishna.
Always chooses Krishna. And that's what one should do in life, right? Always choose the Supreme.
Yes.
Always choose the Supreme Being, God, or whatever name, whatever you want to call it, know.
Yeah.
I just want to add here that a lot of people write self-help books based on the Gita's teachings. But very rarely have I seen books like yours where you actually take other stories from the Mahabharata, other than the Bhagavad Gita, and you basically impart teachings through these other stories. So that's really nice. It's very refreshing to see that. But you do have, because you can't not talk about the Bhagavad Gita when you talk about the Mahabharata. So you do have the second part of your book, and I just want to touch upon the first chapter in that second part of the book, Bhagavad Gita chapter 18.39, because I think it's so important. It deals with laziness and procrastination, which is becoming a huge problem these days. Especially one tends to procrastinate, scrolling the phone, scrolling social media. You tend to put all your important work aside, and you say that happiness which keeps one unaware of true wisdom, which is deceptive from start to finish, and which arises from laziness, sleep, illusion, such happiness is considered to be of the lowest nature. So we'll elaborate on this. How do we move away from this kind of illusory or delusional happiness?
Krishna makes a very fascinating point in the Gita when he is introducing us to happiness in the three modes. And it's very beautifully categorized. He says happiness in the mode of goodness is pain in the beginning and joy later. Just like, for example, exercise, pain in the beginning, very joyful later.
Yeah.
You reap the fruits of exercise. Or studying for children, pain in the beginning, but it's very joyful later. So happiness in the mode of goodness is pain in the beginning, but joy later.
Yeah.
Happiness in the mode of passion is joy now, but pain later.
Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette may be joyful now, but it's pain later.
Pain, absolutely.
The kind of content that comes out in social media today seems to be joy today, right?
Dopamine rushes.
Quick money, quick views, and a lot of gratification today. But later on, there's a lot of mental issues to deal with, a lot of guilt to deal with, so many things to deal with later on. So that's happiness in the mode of passion. And happiness in the mode of ignorance is pain today and pain tomorrow. So there is no joy at all in it.
So what is an example of that?
The example of happiness in the mode of ignorance could be just scrolling. Is there any joy in it? There is practically no joy in it.
It's a dopamine hit.
It's an illusion. It's just a feeling, of being lost, right? So a lot of people today are going through a very interesting phase where hard work is considered to be not so cool. So this is a very powerful illusion that a person could be in, and one has to shake oneself out of it, or somebody has to help them shake them out of it, because it's not at all good in the long term. And therefore the Gita always advises a life of balance.
Balance, yoga is essentially balance, is what the Gita also says. Balance in food, balance in rest, balance in pleasure. That is the key to life. It's beneficial for everyone around you.
Anything that is done in extreme is going to cause pain at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful lesson. Let's come to Navratri. This is a very auspicious time. We worship the Divine Mother, and the 9 forms of Durga. Navratri reminds us to call upon inner strength in times of crisis. And we've seen when Draupadi calls out to Krishna during her humiliation, And so, how can that episode inspire us today?
The episode of Draupadi's Vastraharan is considered to be one of the most central episodes of the Mahabharat, the Asat Sabha. And Draupadi represents the feminine energy.
Yeah.
In fact, the Mahabharat says, when you make someone cry tears, the tears of that person become the puddle in which a strong person drowns and dies. Feminine energy is an energy that has to be respected. Feminine energy is an energy that nurtures, that gives birth, that protects, that blesses. But when that feminine energy is made to cry, the tears of that mother, of that sister, of that wife, of that woman is very detrimental for society. When a society makes a woman cry, the society is going to get destroyed. Every single person who was there in that Asat Sabha, every one of them died.
Yeah.
Every single one of them died. Simply because they saw Draupadi's helplessness and they didn't do anything about it. The only people that lived through that was the 5 Pandavas. And the only reason they lived because they were connected to her. That's all. Everybody else, they had to die.
Yeah.
So the idea is, Mahabharata is giving a very clear understanding. Women are sacred and they have to be protected. Of course, Krishna's mystical presence through the help of a sari is from a devotional angle. The devotional angle to it is from Draupadi's point of view. Nobody was helping her, and then she realized that I need to protect myself. Then she held on to the sari with her own hands, both her hands. And then she realized my hands, my strength is nothing compared to Dushashan. He had the strength of 10,000 elephants. And Draupadi realized that I need to take shelter of divine power. So she caught her sari with one hand and raised her hands with the other hand, and she began to call out to Krishna for help. And then she realized that only calling out to Krishna half-heartedly is not going to be enough. So she held the sari in her teeth, and then she raised both her hands to call out to Krishna. And yet Krishna didn't come. And she realized, I'm still putting my effort. I'm still depending on my strength, holding the sari with the teeth. She said, let me take complete shelter of Krishna. She raised both her hands, she removed the sari from her teeth, and intensely she chanted out the name of Krishna. Agre Kuruna Mata Pandavanam Dushashanena Vastraharan Krishna Tada Kroshananyanata Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Krishna appeared there in the form of that sari. Krishna was just waiting. When will she take full shelter?
Full shelter, full shraddha, full faith.
And Krishna was waiting. What was the fastest medium to travel to her? Krishna was at that point fighting somewhere in Dwarka, another war.
Yeah.
And Krishna heard her call, but he wanted to reach to her faster. And he wanted to take Daruk using his chariot, fastest chariot in the world, literally.
Yeah.
But he felt it's too slow. He called Garud. He felt even Garud is too slow for this. I need a vehicle which is much faster. He wanted to travel at the speed of the mind, but even the speed of the mind felt too slow. And then he found the fastest medium of travel, the tears of Draupadi. Through the tears of Draupadi, Krishna descended. So a lot of times we feel helpless in our lives. People around us can't help us. People that we trust the most, we want them to help us, they are not there for us. And people that are elder to us, people that are more intelligent than us, people that are more capable than us, our own family members, they're not able to help us. And at that point of time, there is a person that can definitely help us, and that is God.
Yeah.
A lot of times we take shelter of prayers as a spare wheel of our life. But actually, this prayers are the steering wheel of our life.
And you have to really put all your faith in God like Draupadi did. And it's nice how we tie it to Navratri, which is a time where you call upon your inner strength, Durga is seen as the primordial energy and ultimate power and the destroyer of our evil tendencies, That is the symbolism also of Durga. And in the Mahabharat, warriors worship goddess Durga before battle. What does this tell us about Krishna's own reverence for feminine power?
The most amazing thing is just to understand how much reverence is given to feminine energy in the Vedic culture is the most powerful departments in the universal management are with women. Finance department with Lakshmi Devi, education department with Saraswati Devi, and defense with Durga Devi. And obviously now, if they are given such important portfolios, it simply means the universal governance trusts women so much. The capability, the energy, the capacity, the ability of women. Unfortunately, when you live in a society which does not respect women, does not understand this natural energy that they carry within them, which is Durga, which is the divine energy that is there within them. People unfortunately do not understand the crux of what Durga Puja is, crux of what Navratri is. The crux of Navratri is not enjoying the feminine energy. It's respecting and worshipping the feminine energy. When you start looking at feminine energy from the point of view of only enjoyment, it only leads to destruction. But when you look at the feminine energy from the point of view of respect and actually worshipping, that's where prosperity is there.
I'm so happy that you've highlighted this because unfortunately, right now, in our current times, we're seeing too much violence against women. We're not seeing that respect. And like you said, feminine energy is not just there for enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's not just there, in term for lust or whatever it is. You have to really respect it. And you said where you respect feminine energy and the divine feminine, that's where Lakshmi resides. And these are, we've you've explained this very beautifully through the Mahabharata, through these episodes in the Mahabharata. You know, the fact that, you know, Krishna advises Arjuna to worship goddess Durga for victory just shows that respect that he had. Without that, you know, a society can't progress.
The most powerful epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, are centered on women. In the Ramayana, one woman was disrespected and an entire country got destroyed.
Yeah.
In the Mahabharata, one woman was disrespected and an entire dynasty got destroyed. And the end of the Ramayana and Mahabharata, it's most amazing. After the destruction of Ravan and after destruction of Duryodhan and his 100 brothers, what happened next is even more interesting. After Duryodhan was destroyed, when Ashwathama killed the 5 sons of Draupadi, the Pandavas asked her, what do we do with this fellow? She said, forgive him. And after Ravan was destroyed, when Hanuman asked Sita, what do I do with these 700 demonesses who are troubling you for last 10 months? She said, forgive them. Which means, traditionally and originally, forgiveness is the virtue of women. That's what feminine energy is about. But when you meddle with that feminine energy too badly, then she becomes Durga and she destroys.
Absolutely.
But once she destroys, then she goes back to her original nature, which is forgiveness.
Beautifully explained, Prabhuji. Absolutely wonderful lesson. Lastly, I want to ask you, so this is your first in the series, Undefeatable Krishna, which is going to be the next one in your Icons of Mahabharata series?
So the next book I'm planning to write on Arjun.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah. So then after that, I'm planning to write a book on Vidur
Vidhur.
and on Yudhishthir and on Bhishma and then finally on Kunti.
Okay. Wow. We really look forward to this series and we'll definitely have you back to talk about the rest of the books. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Very
a
happy
real pleasure to have you on the show.
Very happy and grateful to be here.
Thank you.